It's a bit of a mess here today, but I thought I would try and sort this out. This is the LED cloche, so this will be the final part in the video, I think. So I want to set it up with an AT-Tiny 85. I wanted to figure out how to do it on a breadboard. Now I remember someone, I don't know whether it was someone told me or whether I saw it somewhere on the internet, but there was some software for figuring it out on VeraBoard or on these little prototyping boards where they've just got the holes, the plated overside bit. And I can't remember what it was, so I was going to do it on a computer and sort of figure it out on VeraBoard, but I can't remember what the program is. So we've just done it on a bit of paper, and I've done a few little goes actually. I don't know where the other ones have gone. But yeah, it's not too easy to figure that out, or at least not for me. Anyway, I've cut a little strip of this board, small enough to fit inside one of the battery boxes. So this is one of the battery boxes here. I've pulled the wires out a little bit just so it's easier to get to, and I can slot that board slightly at an angle in there and close the lid. So let's just do that. I'll have to cut those wires anyway, but the lid will close with that board inside, which means I can, there we go, I can stick everything inside the battery box, which will be fantastic. So we've got an AT-Tiny 85 and we've got a little one of these IC holders. So essentially that's going to pop into there. And there's going to be a lot of jumper wires on the back of this board. And each of these will just go along the row there. So I've sort of drawn this out. So we've got the AT-Tiny 85. The orientation of that isn't what I'd particularly like, but if you look here, we've got, this is the pin out. So pin 1 is reset, and then it's A3 and A4 and ground, 5 volts. A1, 1 and 0. They're not called A1 in the IDE as far as I know, but 1 and 0 are the actual pins, and those are PWM pins. So if we flip that around, we'd actually have those PWM pins on the other side of our board, which is annoying, so it has to go that way. So flip it around this way, so the little pin 1 identifier is on the top, and then I can run those down that way. I'm still going to be having some wires on the back to connect them, but I just thought it would be a bit easier. And then that will just slot in like that, hopefully. And fingers crossed it all closes up. So let's go and solder this together and then we'll see how it comes out. I haven't actually programmed up an AT-Tiny 85 to do this yet. There was a bit of an issue. Some people pointed out that it was a bit distracting when these LEDs sort of faded off, and in the last step before they turned off, it was really obvious. There was no slow fade out. And the problem is the resolution of PWM on the AT-Tiny 85 and indeed generally on Arduino boards on the Atmel chips, it only is about 0 to 255, so it's not very high. It'd be nice if it was like a 10-bit one. There are some fast PWM libraries around, but I can't find one for the AT-Tiny 85 at the moment. If I could, then I would use it, but we're going to compromise and just have them not turn off and just stay at their lowest level while the other one is at brightest level. All right, I'm going to do some soldering. This is one of those times where experience is a good thing, and you think back in your old noggin, you think, I know what I should do. Maybe I should breadboard up the AT-Tiny 85 before I start doing some soldering. So that is what I've done. I just thought, do you know what? I might be wrong. I might have got the pin out wrong. Who knows? And we all know that I do stuff like that all the time, get stuff wrong, and then do an embarrassing live stream. So in this case, I've just put it together and programmed up an AT-Tiny 85 to do the same thing as the Uno was doing. So it's pretty difficult to see, but you'll see one's going dimmer, and then it's going to start getting brighter, and the other one's going to go dimmer. Now I've changed the delay on this, so it's a lot quicker, which means I don't have to sit here being quiet while it does it. So it is working. So we'll now transfer this to our PCB, which I've misplaced. It was here, half an hour ago. Right, I'm not quite sure how much point there is in soldering this up in front of you guys because I'm sure I'll make some mistakes, but I'm going to be using some new solder today. This is some dodgy Chinese stuff, but it was bought for me, which was really nice. Hang on, let's zoom, let's focus in. Someone picked it up from my Amazon wish list, and the reason I wanted this was because it's 0.3 millimeters, and I usually use this stuff, which is 0.7 millimeters. So the size difference for soldering is going to be brilliant. This is an amazing make of solder. The stuff is brilliant. We'll see what this is like. Hopefully it's all right. It can't be terrible, right? So really this solder is a bit too thin to be doing on this kind of work, but I'd just like to see how well it works. So wow, I'm really not getting a lot on there. I think that's that solder's sort of meant for small work, I think. So let's just use the big solder. There we go, that's better. I'm just soldering in the transistors, the MOSFETs at the moment, and then we've got the IC socket still in, ready to go. I'm not a big fan of this kind of prototyping board, but it has the advantage that the rails aren't connected like on the Vera board, although I mean that's a benefit, but I didn't design the circuit with those rails in mind. Okay, I'll just check for any bridges and certainly some poorly soldered bits like that bit there. There we go, so I've got 2 transistors in place. Those are by far the tallest components that are going to be going into this box. So let's have a little look and see how it's going to fit. Let's get some of these wires out of the way. I mean, I can chop those off now. So it should just slot in like that. And then we've got our IC at the top here. That is going to be perfect. Great, I'm quite pleased that that's going to fit in. It feels a little bit like a lazy Sunday, this video. I mean, it just so happens that it's, is it Monday today? It might be Monday today. We've got, come on, I can't move the soldering iron around. There we go, that's better. There we go. It is sort of all sandwiched together a little bit. I need to make it as simple as possible. And now I need some wires going to ground and to power, and then a couple of jumper wires over to these ICs, these MOSFETs to drive them with PWM. So I'll sort that out now. I'm not going to record that because stripping wires and soldering them on is going to be really boring. But once we've done that, we'll look at putting it in the case. Right, well it's working. I know I skipped out a lot of the soldering and you might be annoyed, but that's just the way it is because this thing is horrendous. I mean, just look at it. I don't have very thin hookup wire. It'd be really nice if I did have something, but I don't. So everything's just sort of jammed in, but the lid fits on. Oh, I would have to trap something in there, wouldn't I? Okay, hang on. There we go. There we go. All done. So it's inside its little container, completely sealed, apart from a hole which I managed to. I was taking off one of the posts. I'll show you. So you've got these posts and sort of like dividers, and this is for cable tension or retention. And I had to cut that out so I could fit everything in. But it's all right, I'm quite happy with it. So now we're just going to, and you can see that they're working. So we've got the the ones going dimmer here, these ones are now getting brighter. In fact, if I turn off these lights, you should be able to see it a bit better. I've changed the code so this happens more quickly. So when I'm demoing it to you, you can see that it's actually working. So this one's now going to go dimmer and this one's going to get brighter. And it's a really subtle effect that I hope when I've twisted these together that it will look really, really nice, like a fading in and out kind of thing. Or maybe, I don't know exactly how it works, it might look like they're traveling up the line, but let's twist them together and see what happens. Right, as you can see, we've got them twisted together and they're fading and brightening up opposite to each other. So we've got this whole string done. Not all of them are completely twisted. I wanted there to be a little bit of variation, but they're all partly twisted, I guess. And for now, I'm just going to wrap them around the cloche, the glass cloche, and that will give me sort of a base shape for the way I want it to appear inside the cloche. So, oh, I'm getting all tangled up here. So just going to wrap it around until we reach the very end of the string, which we're not far off from now. Oops. It doesn't matter if it's a bit too crazy in there. We're going to sort of stretch it out a little bit like flower arranging, I guess. I have got it hooked all over my microphone though. There we go. There we go, that will do. And then if we bring in the base, I've got the lights turned off here so that you guys can see what this is going to look like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo the top and then we're going to slide it off, and inside, hopefully this will work out. Because we've done it in circles, I should be able to spread these out now so that they go around the glass, he says. It's not quite working the way I'd hoped. I wanted it to sort of coil out, but obviously these rings aren't... oh, this is frustrating, isn't it? Okay, we're going to try a different approach. I'm just going to mash it. Just mash it all together. It's going to make it one hell of a big job if I wanted to put it apart again, but we're not going to do that. God, I'm getting really tangled up here. Oh well. It's making all sorts of noise, isn't it? Stay in. Right, there we go. So we're currently in the darkest room in my house, and it also happens to be the most echoey part of my house. It is the stairwell, but we've got our lamp here. In fact, I can let a little bit of light in. Let's have a look. So we're just on the stairs here, and you can see that they're slowly dimming up and down. It's not perfectly even, and that's because I've twisted them together and some are pointing the wrong way, and it's a bit difficult to see, but these ones are just getting to their brightest part and they're just about to dim. So they stay at their brightest for the least amount of time and then they dim back down again. So it's a nice effect. I don't think it's very obvious here, but I like that it's moving somewhat. I think I'll reprogram the microcontroller to make this a lot more obvious, but for now, I'm happy. It looks nice.